Have you ever wondered why some automation testers grow fast in their career while others stay stuck at the beginner level for years? Because automation is not just about writing locators and clicking buttons. It's about thinking like an engineer, like a problem solver, like someone who understands how browser, apps and system works. But here's the truth. Most beginners unknowingly make the same 10 mistakes. I have seen this in interviews. I have also seen this in junior engineers, and I have personally made this half of these mistakes early in my career. So today, I am going to break down the 10 most common mistakes beginner automation testers make, why they happen, the consequences, and most importantly, how to fix them immediately. This is QA Simplified channel and my name is Akash. Let's jump right in. Mistake number 1. Learning tools before learning testing. The number one mistake before most beginners make is this. They learn Selenium, but they don't learn testing. They know how to write driver.findElement, but they don't know how to design a test case, or when to test, or what to automate. Tools don't make you a tester. Understanding testing does. And this leads to poor test coverage, automating useless scenarios, fragile test suites, confusion between QA and automation role. We can fix this by learning the basics first. Learn what is discussed design, what is boundary value analysis, what is equivalence partitioning. Learn what is SDLC and STLC. You need to know what is defect lifecycle, what is the difference between priority and severity, and what makes a test good. Once you know this, any automation tool becomes easy. Mistake number 2. Automating everything. This is another beginner's trap. Okay, they're feeling pressure to automate each and every single test case. But not all test cases should be automated. If the UI changes every 3 days, or if the business logic itself is unstable, and let's say if the feature is still experimental, and if the element is dynamic or unpredictable, in those cases, automation will break constantly. And this is a waste of time and it slows down releases. So the fix is really simple. Automate what is stable, repetitive, high impact, and time consuming to test manually. But you should not automate UI alignments, visual tests, rapidly changing features. This is very important. Huh? You should not automate rapidly changing features. And you should not automate one-time test cases. Automation is always about reusability. So smart automation is better than more automation. Mistake number 3. Weak DOM, that is document object model, and HTML knowledge. This is the biggest technical mistake beginners make. They run tests, they get element not found, and they straight away start blaming Selenium or Playwright or Cypress. But the actual issue here is that they do not understand HTML or DOM. If you don't understand what are tags, attributes, DOM structure, CSS selectors, dynamically generated elements, iframe, shadow DOM, you will struggle every single day. That's a fact. So automation is basically manipulating HTML elements. If you don't understand the DOM, it's like trying to drive without knowing what the steering wheels does. Okay, you should know why do we have the steering wheel for. If you don't, I will try. Okay, how do we fix this? You need to spend 3 to 5 days learning. Learning what? What are automation tags? What is DOM hierarchy? CSS selectors, inspect element, shadow DOM, iframe switching, dynamic content loading. I'm telling you, this one skill will boost your automation output more than any other tool. Okay, so just give it a try. Mistake number 4. Copy pasting XPath from DevTools. This is extremely common. Beginners open inspect, right click on an element, copy full XPath, and they directly paste that into the code. They don't see that this XPath is very long, machine generated, uses absolute paths, and breaks if anything in the UI shifts. For an example, this is an example of the XPath, and if one small UI change happens here, your locator will die. Okay, so how can you fix this? You need to use stable and simple locators. Okay, unique IDs, names, CSS selectors, data attributes like data test ID, data QA, clean custom XPaths when needed. Locators should be readable, maintainable, and independent of UI design changes. Okay, if there are frequent UI design changes, you need to know that which locators you can use to make sure that that your locators don't break. Even if the UI design changes, they would still be same. Otherwise, you need to keep on updating those, and it will result in flaky tests. Mistake number 5: misusing weights. I mean, you should know what weights are first of all. Otherwise, you'll end up misusing them. So here the problem is that beginners love Thread.sleep. Okay, Thread.sleep. They add sleeps everywhere, and the entire test suite becomes slow and flaky. Why? Because the browser is dynamic. JavaScript loads after a delay. React renders component multiple times. Animation needs time. Backend calls return late. So a fixed sleep cannot handle all scenarios. Okay, how do we fix this? We need to use explicit wait with conditions. Remember this. We need to use explicit waits with conditions like element to be clickable, visibility of, presence of element, text to be present, URL wait, frame wait. All these conditions, if you're using it, then your test will not be slow. Okay, even if browser is dynamic, which in all cases it usually is, so it will not be slow and flaky. You need to understand these conditions, why they are there for. So this adapts to real browser behavior and removes flakiness. Mistake number 6: no page object model, POM. POM is a very essential concept you should know about. And another beginner mistake is putting everything into one file. Locators, test logic, data, all mixed up. This becomes a nightmare when your project grows. Without POM, code duplication increases. Minor UI changes force a big rewrites. No separation of concerns, and tests will be unreadable. How do we fix this? First of all, understand what page object model is thoroughly, why they are there for. Okay, this is a design pattern. So we use page object model, one class per page. Reusable web element locators, which we can reuse over and over again. Reusable actions like click, input, verify. clean test methods. So if we are using these fixes, this instantly makes your code professional and scalable. So this is a very important concept, guys. We need to understand what POM is. What POM is, what DOM is, how estimate is different from DOM. Okay, all those weights, why do we have them? When do we use them? With the conditions. Mistake number 7. Ignoring API testing. Beginners rely 100% on UI tests, but UI tests are mostly slow, fragile, and expensive. In real companies, major logic is tested at the API layer because it's always fast, stable, and it's very easy to automate. Actually, I'm telling you, in the comparison of UI, it's very stable because the schema will be fixed, the payload and structure and the endpoints, everything will be fixed. So it will be kind of very stable and it will be very fast. You can get quick results. Okay, unless it is asynchronous, then that's a different concept I don't want to discuss here. It will be easy to automate, that is true, and it doesn't depend on UI state. And UI automation should only test flows, not logic. Okay. So how do we fix this mistake? We need to learn API testing basics. So there are some REST clients like Postman. I think Insomnia is also there. There are many other REST clients like Postman are there. You can choose any one of them and use it. You need to understand what are REST assured API, Playwright API. There are also other different types of APIs are there, like GraphQL API. You need to understand all this, why they are there for, how different they are from each other, and how we can test them. What are common HTTP methods like post, put, patch, get? What are they for? What are their authentication response codes? And if we have requests and responses, how do we validate JSON? Don't be rattled by JSON. It's again a separate topic. Maybe I'll discuss it later. It's kind of like a document where we keep our data in a separate structure. There will be attributes, key and attributes. There will be arrays and all. So, this is a separate concept. But you need to understand, when you need to learn about JSON, when you are learning about API testing, you need to know about this also. And then you can combine UI plus API automation, and you instantly become a very strong engineer. So API testing is essential. You should understand what they are, how do we test them. Okay, and then you can combine both. Mistake number 8. No automation framework. Beginners run automation framework like a simple script without real structure. So here the terminology, no framework means there is no report, no logs, data is all hard-coded, no config management there, no reusable utilities, and no screenshot on failures. And if you just running your automation like just one simple script, okay, hard-coded everything there, you're not even generating the test reports and logs and everything, then it's called no automation. It's called no framework. But that is not how it works, and that is not how it is required. Companies, they want engineers who can build their own automation framework. Not only build, maintain their automation framework. Okay, so you need to know how you can build a basic framework with like TestNG. In Java, we have TestNG, JUnit. If you're using Python, we have PyTest. If you're using, I think, TypeScript, there we have Jest. You need to understand how you can work with different types of reports, extent or allure. You can choose any one of them and you can build your own reports using this. You need to know what is driver factory, why do we have config files, how do we do environment setup, utilities, logging, test data separation, how we can do that. And using all this, how we can build a basic framework. If you are able to do this, then This can transform you from a simple script writer to an automation engineer. Every automation engineer must know all about this. Mistake number 9, avoiding CI/CD. I have seen that many testers, they write their code in their own local machine and then they run that script. Let's say they have successfully built an entire automation framework and they run that those test cases on their local machine, but they don't realize that the main mistake here. The first mistake is, let's say your laptop is crashed, the entire code is gone. Okay, even though let's say somehow you are lucky and you have created a copy of it somewhere, but in that case also, let's say again you have to restore your laptop, you'll again get those files, reinstall it, and then rerun it. But nobody else will be able to run it or make changes in your automation script. So from maintenance point also, this will be a no-go. Not only that, let's say from a running point of view, if anybody wants to run and see the report, every time they'll have to reach out to you. So it is kind of like manual testing only. People will have to reach out to you, then only you will run the test suite and then you'll share the test result. Okay, ideally it should be functional. I mean, anybody can go there and then they can pick up the test cases which they want to execute and execute it. So running test only on your local machine is not real automation. Real automation runs on every commit, every build, every release, every environment. Okay, either you can create triggers using which it can run on every commit or build, or you can run it on demand basis. And you can choose the environment where you want to run. So beginner engineers avoid CI/CD because it looks very complicated. But you need to learn basic skills. What do you need to learn here? Jenkins, GitHub Actions, GitHub Lab CI, Azure DevOps. So mostly Jenkins and Azure DevOps are very common nowadays and everybody uses them. So if you're learning this, either one of them is fine. I think mostly the concept is similar only. Okay, and Docker basics. So when your test runs automatically in CI/CD, you enter a new level of professionalism. And you will say, later topics I will discuss how we can do that. But as of now, this is the mistake which testers do. I have seen 90% testers who really want to avoid CI/CD. They say that this is basically a DevOps level work, but I'm telling you it's not. We can also do that, and it's not that difficult. Mistake 10: learning too many tools at once. This is, I'm telling you, I have seen many resources, many testers, even the experienced one also. They keep making this mistake, and this is a modern mistake. I'm not telling you to not have knowledge about many tools. You should know what they are there for. Okay, but you should not learn all of them at once. So what do beginners do? They try learning Selenium, Cypress, Playwright, Appium, Puppeteer, Karate, Catalan, whatever they see on Google, on LinkedIn, or Udemy, or see that this is in fashion, they straight away start learning it. Okay, and they learn it. They complete the course and all everything. And what will happen if you learn all those 10, 12, 15, 20 tools? You learn nothing deeply. You'll have a general idea, okay, what they are there for, but you will not have a very deep understanding of it. So companies, they don't want tool collectors. Okay, you can write all these 10 frameworks, and when they start asking questions, they'll understand that you may not know them very deeply. Okay, so Companies, they don't want tool collectors, they want experts. So you need to pick one and master it for 6 months. Okay, remember this. You need to pick one and master it for 6 months. Only and only explore others when you are comfortable. Okay, then you need to pick one, master it for 66 months, and only go for next one when you are completely comfortable with this one. Remember that deep knowledge beats wide knowledge. You need to have very deep knowledge about one framework, one language, one tool, and then you can, keep building on top of it. Once you are expert for one tool, I'm telling you, all other tools, they will fall in line. It will not take you much time to understand all of them. But if you just learn, learn all tool at once, you will not learn anything. This is a bonus mistake, poor communication. A lot of automation failures happen because testers stay silent. They don't ask developers which elements are dynamic. They don't ask the product owner why a flow is changed. They don't ask for stable IDs. They don't confirm requirements. And this leads to bad assumptions and wasted efforts. So first of all, as a QA, we do not assume anything. Okay, we go by the requirement, we understand the business, and then based on that, we do our testing. We may go for exploratory testing, negative testing, positive testing, but it will, revolve around that requirement. So you can take your time to understand the business and the requirement, but you do not assume anything. If you have any doubt, you get it clarified. Okay, so automation is 50% coding and 50% communication. So how we can fix this mistake? We need to ask for data attributes, ask for stable APIs, confirm workflows, that is very important, and raise concerns early. If you delay the concerns, you might not get time. Development team might not get time to take a look at it, or product owner, they might not get time to look at it, so it may not get developed in time. And if that concern is really valid, then, or it is causing maybe it has the severity level as higher and priority level, they can decide. But if it is really high impacting and you did not raise it early, then it will end with your product no-go. So it will not go live, and then we decide whether it is a go or no-go based on how many high impacting, high priority and severity defects open. So whatever your concerns are, just raise it early, get it clarified. Okay, and if there are genuine issues, there's bugs immediately. So you have to work closely with dev. Okay, dev and product on both. So good communication is better automation. So conclusion. If you avoid these mistakes, you will jump ahead of 80% of beginners automation testers. 80%, I'm telling you. Still, I think it's 90% mostly, because mostly all of them I have seen that making mistakes, including me. So remember, automation is not about just writing scripts. Automation is about understanding system, identifying the right tests, and building scalable solutions. Focus on fundamentals. Choose stability over complexity. Master one tool. Understand the DOM. Build frameworks. And think like an engineer, not a script writer.